They are freaking out about this. And as we are hours away from Luka Doncic playing his former team and former GM against the Dallas Mavericks, a new report from David McMenamin has dropped, revealing some shocking information ahead of tonight's game. We're going to write down what it means and what it means going forward, as these comments have fans absolutely fired up. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, but before we get into it, if you're part of the 90% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Your guys' support has been fantastic. We're on the road, the big goal of 20,000 subscribers. If you want to help us towards that goal, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we will also have a video following tonight's game against the Mavericks, because it is going to be one of the most anticipated games that we've seen in really years when it comes to regular season games. And a report dropped today revealing some very interesting information as it pertains to what Luka is feeling about both Nico Harrison ahead of tonight's matchup, but also going forward and his performance. So let's dive right into it here. You can see this here, news story with the Lakers hosting the Mavs tonight. Here's a look inside how the last 3 weeks for Luka Doncic have played out after the trade. And obviously there's been a lot of speculation about, people saying Luka Doncic was 270 pounds, people saying Luka Doncic was upset, all these different things. And finally we're starting to get some actual truth behind it now that we're almost a month out from the trade. And we know that Redick came out recently and said that Luka is over the shock factor. He's ready to just play basketball. And he saw that against the Denver Nuggets. It was an extremely impressive game on that front. But I want to go over a couple things. You can see this here, and there's a lot of different screenshots to go over. When Doncic returned to LA with a bit of a sunburn on his face, it wasn't just from time spent in the beach. Lakers assistant coach Scott Brooks met with him in Cabo, and they worked out at a private outdoor court for 2 hours a day. Doncic also supplemented the basketball drills by lifting weights at his hotel, and though Doncic did not publicly comment on the constant flow of leaks from the Mavericks organization disparaging his weight and conditioning, one source close to Doncic said, a beast was awakened inside of him, is what the source said. And that ESPN said, it said that the comments were used as a motivator about his weight and all these different things. And they asked him about it. If we think back to the press conference a couple weeks ago when he was introduced to the Los Angeles Lakers 3 weeks ago now, and we knew that Luka Doncic, he didn't seem too phased. He said he didn't want to be out of Dallas necessarily. He didn't request a trade. But there was multiple comments about his weight, like I mentioned, him being 270 pounds, him being out of shape, and the numerous amount of leaks saying that the reason that they traded Doncic was A, that they were unsure if he'd be able to lead this team going forward because of his health and conditioning, and B, of course, his defense was a major problem. And clearly, from what we're seeing, he looks, if you're looking at even his practice from yesterday, he looks in very solid shape now, nowhere near 270. But to say that a beast was awakened inside of him, that is a great sign if you're a Lakers fan, because not only is he going to have a chip on his shoulder, of course, tonight against the Dallas Mavericks, but also a chip on his shoulder going forward for the rest of the season. And we know Luka's been coming out and saying their goal is to win a championship this year, and of course, in the years beyond this year as well, as they hopefully improve their center position and things like that. But none of that really matters right now. What matters is the fact that he said, the sources are saying a beast was awakened inside of him, and that has people pretty fired up. He says here, Luka might mess around and go for 50 on the Mavericks tonight. He is really mad. And it does seem like he is pretty upset with the way that not only the Mavericks organization handled it, but just in general. And let's not forget, he is a human after all. He was just traded completely out of the blue. He had no inclination, no inkling that a trade was going to be coming. He had no idea that they were looking to trade him. And out of all the players in the NBA, if you're Luka Doncic, you are probably the least likely player to be expecting a trade alongside, LeBron and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But again, there's no trade clause or anything in his contract, and he was just traded away. And then after that, let alone being blindsided and being traded out of the place that you called home and you expected to be for the rest of your career, you are then kind of shamed for your conditioning, your weight, and all these different things. And that's what Nico Harrison and the Mavs front office use as an excuse to take some of the public shaming and public light off of themselves and put it on to Luka Doncic. And again, I'm going to reiterate this part because this is the part that people keep talking about. Though Doncic did not publicly comment on the constant flow of leaks because they asked him about it both internally and externally at the press conference, a beast was awakened inside of him because specifically of the comments that were made and used as motivation. If we think back to the actual press conference, he said that it was going to be used as a motivator, whether that be the 270-pound comment, whether that be the fact that his defense wasn't going to be good enough or that his health, they had internal concerns. And, it's fine to have internal concerns about his health, but some of the stuff that was leaking was really, really bad. And again, now it's on Luka Doncic and the team to actually go out and play really good basketball. And speaking of Luka Doncic, and again, Redick came out and said a couple games ago before the Denver Nuggets game that Luka now feels good. He feels ready. He's over the shock. And if you watch, the Lakers posted a video after the game in the locker room against the Denver Nuggets where JJ Redick said, Luka, it's good to finally have you back, and essentially have the actual Luka Doncic arrive to the Lakers and play the way that we know Luka can play alongside LeBron and just in general with 30-point triple-double almost. Now he's going to have to do that going forward. And tonight's game is going to be absolutely electric. It's going to be very intriguing to see what he does against the Mavericks because, at this point, they need to, not only do they need to win to continue to, climb the Western Conference, but this is going to be, I'm hoping that the team around Luka Doncic, whether that be, LeBron, Rui, Reaves, everybody gave it, they play as hard as they did against the Nuggets because on a personal level, for Luka Doncic, I know he desperately wants to win this. And speaking about Luka in general, LeBron James came out and had a bunch of different comments. You see this here, it was the fourth game that Doncic sat out of the 7 LA played since a trade, but James was cognizant of the big picture. Just want him to be himself when he gets back to himself. Obviously, he's been out since Christmas, and I think he told me or said it to us, that's the most he's ever been out since he started playing basketball because of an injury. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight, but I believe that in order for us to ultimately be the team that we want to be with him here, he has to have the ball. He has to be able to put us all in position. He has to be him. The 7 years that we've seen in the NBA with Luka, we want that Luka. And these are some new comments that dropped in the David McMenamin article, or the David McMenamin article, sorry. And it makes sense. Like, obviously, something lost in all this was the fact that, yes, we knew he was injured and he was out for a while, but this was the longest period of time that he had been out since he started playing basketball in general, especially at the professional level. And he was out over a month. And for any player to come back, especially one with, Luka Doncic's stature, who relies with the ball, and the team relies on him, the ball in his hands, shooting threes, it's always going to be difficult, and was always going to be difficult for him to fully get healthy and come back. But now that he's good, it was always going to take a long time. And hopefully he's always going to be, we know he has the work ethic, he has all these things, but if he can continue to be the player that we saw against the Nuggets, and even just the player that we saw in the past 7 years against the Mavericks, that will be crucial going forward. And some more different things here, specifically regarding the Nuggets game. One of the first possessions set the tone for the game. Just like in their first game together, Doncic found James the perfect outlet pass, flinging it from the paint after the Jamal Murray miss. The ball meeting James and stride and setting up an easy dunk. And LeBron said, I'm a natural-born wide receiver, and he's a natural-born quarterback, so it fits perfectly. Doncic also fed James with a lob for a dunk late in the second quarter. I'm happy to get my first alley-oop with him. Next time, he's going to throw it up to me. And the chemistry that they're developing and will continue to develop, and we're only 4 games into Luka Doncic, LeBron James experiment. It's going to be a pleasure to watch, obviously. And from the perspective of Lakers and the fan base, this team has the potential to do great things, and they have to come out tonight. We know that Luka's going to have a beast awaken inside of him. It's going to motivate him not only this year, but for the rest of his career, really, being blindsided like that. You rarely see any players of his caliber get traded in the first place, let alone be ridiculed after the trade by your own front office and be shamed a little bit. And one final thing before we wrap up. You can see this here. The Lakers spending the night in Portland. James checked in with Doncic on his plans after the game. And this was before the Nuggets game. Hey, Don, James said, where are you going tonight? Sleep. Doncic said, I need to get some sleep. He got sleep, and he absolutely took care of business against the Nuggets. And hopefully he can take care of business against the Mavericks tonight, because it seems like the chemistry that LeBron is here. Hey, Don, the God who counts The Godfather as his famous film. He was a bunch of weird different things going on. But at the end of the day, LeBron James and Luka, they're going to be together for years to come. Hopefully, obviously, depending on how long LeBron has left. But for now, huge game tonight against the Mavericks. And hopefully LeBron takes care of business. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.